Swipe Up, episode 230, the podcast where I share my unfiltered thoughts on the latest news and entertainment updates. I'm your host, Ray Taylor. 23 Cop City activists, which I've got an issue with this. Charged with domestic terrorism after a fiery clash with police. Now, I don't know if anybody saw this video. I saw this video. Before I saw this story, I saw this video, which I love. That's one of the things I love about social media. It's one of the things I love about TikTok. You see first-hand accounts of things actually happening before they get to the media, where they can just conveniently edit things to make them look a certain way. I mean, editing is amazing. Look at reality TV shows. You can make anybody look like anything. I edit clips of this. I know how easy it is. You can just rearrange how you say things, make it sound better, or completely make it seem like I'm saying something completely different if I wanted to, right? Nearly 24, the quote-unquote Cop City activists in Atlanta have been charged with domestic terrorism under Georgia law. The charges come after clashes between protesters and law enforcement at a site proposed for police training. Hundreds of environmental and racial justice activists attended a music festival with a inflatable bounce house, because, nothing says like violent riots than a bouncy house. The festival took place near the proposed building site, which includes music and other events as part of the Atlantic Forest, quote, Week of Action, unquote, festival. Police claim the clashes were instigated by a group of, quote, unquote, agitators who started protesting after breaking away from the main event. According to the reports, a group of forest defenders took over a police surveillance outpost a mile from the festival, setting fire to a cop car and torching infrastructure erected around the proposed training site. Protesters hurled rocks, Molotov cocktails, and bricks at police, who were armed with crowd control weapons. 35 protesters were arrested in total, with 23 of them booked on domestic terror charges. The Cop City activists, it's weird how 7 are 35, so that's 12 people. I wonder if those 12 people were encouraged by the police to go just get a little rowdy, see if you can get some people to help us out. Like I said earlier in the previous story, how during Black Lives Matter, there was all these white supremacists and Republican terrorists, as you may call them. I'm sure that's who they love and support. Were responsible for the majority of property damage during those peaceful protests. But of course, their propaganda media doesn't want to bring that up. They love that those things happened during the protests so that they can try and blame the peaceful protesters for being violent, right? Antifa is violent. People who think Antifa is a domestic terrorism probably need to look into World War I and World War II, where America was fighting against fascism. America was anti-fascism, which is what Antifa stands for. So if you got a problem with Antifa, then you probably watch World War I and World War II movies as if your side is losing in both of those. Which, if you also support the Confederacy, I guess you have a thing for rooting for the losers in wars. But to be Antifa is a very American thing until recently, where a bunch of fascists kind of like the idea of what that reality will look like for them. So in that instance, they are actively trying to make Antifa a domestic terrorism organization, which is insane. The United States military would be Antifa then. Watch Band of Brothers. That's Antifa right there. There's a bunch of Antifa guys going to fight against fascism. So, Cop City activists charged been criticized by civil rights, liberties groups, obviously, who say the domestic terrorist statute is being used inappropriately and may erode First Amendment freedoms, as they want to do. The only amendment, which they don't even really understand the entire amendment of the Second Amendment. That's the only one they really care about. But all the other ones, they don't really, like the First Amendment, they don't really understand. They think It just means that they can say anything and that like companies can't like kick them off of their services for saying things. But like, that's the government saying you can't say things. And that's what we're seeing here, where the government, the police, are charging people for having a First Amendment. That's why it's like it's not illegal to protest peacefully. But that's why they send those people. And if you see the video that I was talking about earlier, you see the video, you see the music festival, and it's just people sitting on lawns. There's a fucking bouncy house watching music. Then you see a crowd, a group of dudes dressed in Antifa costumes, right? A bunch of white dudes in Antifa costumes, because that's who they're cosplaying at in this event, coming in single file, walking directly over to the thing. You see the video of them throwing fireworks at the police. The police don't do anything. There's a video of the tractor that was lit on fire by these people that were at the thing, these agitators, and the police literally doing nothing. There's a video where the thing's on fire, clearly in the background, and there's a cop just like kicking rocks in the street. They could care less about these people that they consider to be domestic terrorists. Like, it seems more like their buddies on their day off decided to dress up and cosplay. It's like, I'm going to throw some fireworks at you. Don't worry. And the cops, for like one of the few times, because cops really treat domestic terrorists with a lot of respect. If you're a white guy with an AR-14, they will safely cuff you and apprehend you and put you so you can have a day in court. But if you're anybody else and the cops are going after you, you probably will die if they want. Like, they really don't have a problem killing people. They've shown that. Over 1,000 people a year die by the police. But this is another instance where you see the cops really not doing a whole lot, aside from trying to close a gate, which they can't because they're dumb. You see a guy just watching everything happen, being the witness, I'm sure, which will be brought in to testify in court that he saw the other people that they arrested that they're charging with, right? And you see the people who are arrested not wearing the same thing that all of these people who are the quote-unquote agitators were wearing, also somehow not only changed their clothes, but changed the melanin content in their skin. It's just, like, ridiculous. And, of course, this Cop City thing is like going to be some mega training center to just militarize police in a city that is predominantly black. Like, it is, and it's also a state, Georgia, that is currently changing laws so Republicans can choose the prosecutors that will decide cases to actually go through with, because the president is potentially going to be charged there, right? So they made sure that they can change laws so that they can avoid any kind of repercussions from any kind of politicians, right? If some kind of law enforcement wants to come after one of their politicians, they can get rid of them and replace them with somebody that's going to be sympathetic to whatever the fuck they want. So not really surprising that Atlanta Georgia is leaning really fascist. I'm sure they're really pissed off too with the fact that they went blue, right? They're super angry that the majority of people that live there actually had access to voting. Tensions have been on the rise in Atlanta over the planned facility since December of 2022, when a task force of police agencies raided the Stop Cop City encampment and charged 5 activists with domestic terrorism. It's just insane that you're being charged with domestic terrorism for exercising your First Amendment right. That's kind of where America's going, right? They want to eliminate the ability to protest in order to keep people quiet, right? It's insane. So, craziness. I would recommend looking at the video, looking at the extended videos of that, and tell me that's not bullshit. That those people weren't actually at the festival. They went there specifically to go provoke the police, right? They specifically lit things on fire. You see the police just not giving a shit, right? They are playing. It is like a choreographed bullshit festival between the police and these agitators, and then the people who were arrested not even involved with that at all. It is ridiculous. Watch the videos. I highly recommend, right? Not the Fox News bullshit. Watch the raw footage.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.